witness the birth of a new story, the rise of heroes and the trials of darkness. The world lies upon the precipice of change. Will you stand or will you fall? Prepare yourself well, traveler, for fate is watching, and the stars are yours to claim.
What can be said about the mysterious elven ranger from the Feywild? Born in Aurora's Vale, the city of light, where magic defined the elven people, Altari Elunéth was born without it. Determined to prove her worth, she trained tirelessly with bow and blade, believing strength could be found beyond the arcane. But despite her efforts, she was only tolerated out of duty and never truly embraced by the Circle of Keepers, the powerful leaders of the Vale. In a defiant attempt to earn their respect, she faced the Keeper's trials. And though her death was assured, she survived against all odds. But Altari's victory was hollow in the death of the man who held her heart. Hardened by grief and forsaking the Keepers, Altari became a guardian, devoted to defending her people from the growing darkness beneath the earth. When the land was torn asunder by quakes and living shadows, she and her company sought the source in a long forgotten ruin. And it was here where Altari would be unmade. For within this ruin, they found an ancient artifact brimming with dark, divine magic. As shadows overwhelmed them, Altari destroyed the orb, only to be struck by a vision of Aurora's Vale consumed by darkness and ash. A deep, foreboding voice carved prophecy into her soul, and the magic of the orb marked her, changing her forever. The explosion of power tore the very fabric of reality, wrenching Altari from the Feywild and casting her through a rift into the material plane. Lost in this new world, Altari grew close to some unlikely companions. She was saved by Blaze, a steadfast paladin who had become her closest friend, and Visilva, the light in her life, cherished like a daughter. Yet, Altari remains haunted by the dark voice from her vision, and the fear that the light of her people will diminish into endless night. Altari now walks the line between light and shadow, uncertain of her future, but determined to carve her own path. With new magic pulsing beneath her skin, Altari only has more questions.
Have you heard of Dasan Thornhoof? No? Then you must listen well, for his is a story of courage, of battles fought beneath the open sky, and of a hunter who stood unshaken before the creatures of nightmare. Born in Serajani's pride, Dasan was different. While others played, he hunted. While others feared the shadows, he sought what lurked within. And so it was that before he had even seen his 15th year, he had already earned recognition from the Serajani elders. But the brighter the flame, the darker the shadow it casts. And none stood in that shadow more than his own brother. You see, on the night of Dasan's 16th ascension rite, Bradwarden, his brother, sought to end Dasan's life. The night should have been a time of celebration, but jealousy turned it into something else. A storm of anger rose from Bradwarden as he attacked Dasan, leading to a big fight. And when it passed, Dasan remained standing, his heart heavy with sorrow. For that same night, his brother was cast out, his voice carrying a promise of vengeance. But Dasan did not linger in the past. No, he set his sights on the world beyond, walking the path of the hunter, the slayer of beasts, wolves, bears, the restless dead, even a cyclops. No matter the foe, Dasan Thornhoof met them with steel in his grip and fire in his heart. They say the monsters feared him. They say his name travels faster than the wind. They say that when the land trembles, it is the hooves of Dasan leaving their mark on the beasts of Nocturne. But his story does not end there. Dasan is still out there hunting.
The name's Forlan Honeywittle, of the esteemed family of Honeywittles, and he needs no grand introduction, though he will gladly provide one. A halfling of unparalleled charm and wit, Forlan is a pirate of great renown, having once sailed beneath the banner of a legendary ship. However, such dark tales are best left in the past, for betrayal and mutiny have stained those memories. Yet Forlan has returned, wiser, bolder, and as dazzling as ever. The undisputed brains of an operation, the very essence of suave sophistication, a champion of drink, and a lion in heart and strength, and also in the sheets, if you know what I mean. Ladies adore him, men want to be him, so he claims. And who would dare disagree with this charismatic paladin? Now, he travels alongside trusted companions Altari, Visilva, Blaze, and of course, the radiant love of his life, the beautiful Shadow. Together, they embark on a journey of peril and promise, seeking adventure, fortune, and most importantly, Shadow's lost ship, the Obsidian. Through danger and revelry alike, Forlan Honeywittle remains as ever unforgettable. Chaos follows wherever he treads, whether by wit, charm, or sheer audacity, who can really say? So remember the name, for it shall be forever lingering in your thoughts, whispered in admiration, long after the adventure ends.
Black sails fluttering in salty winds and waves kissing the belly of her ship. Her true name known by most and feared by all who sail the seven seas. But alas, this bliss is but a distant memory for Shadow, as betrayal strikes her in the back by her former second-in-command. Exiled and stripped of her title, a flicker of light is shown from within the ocean. Di-Astrogen, the new goddess of the sea, gave Shadow a second chance. Sassy, foul-mouthed, reasonable, and yet dependable, she became a cleric of the Tempest. Just as the tides are ever-changing, Shadow ran into an old foe who became her new partner in crime, and maybe in life, known as Forlan Honeywittle. Goals aligning and dreams growing, they set off to regain Shadow's true name and her legendary ship.
Visilva's story begins in Kandura, a world where magic is feared and nearly non-existent, except near the borders, where it seeps in from other realms. She was never meant to be there, not truly. A changeling child left behind in place of a stolen human infant. But Visilva was not alone. She and the stolen child shared a bond deeper than blood, an unbreakable psychic connection. They were sisters, two halves of the same coin, separated by fate. For the first few years of Visilva's life, she lived as any child would, unaware of her true nature. That changed when at the age of 5, she shifted for the first and only time. In a moment of innocent play, her form changed before the eyes of her friends. Fear swept through the village. Her family, the people she had trusted most, turned against her. She was cast out, abandoned on the streets. She survived alone, stealing to keep herself alive, unseen and unwanted. Years passed in the shadows, until a stranger arrived in town. He was the first person in years to show her kindness, and more than that, he carried magic with him. When he stepped through a portal into another world, a world where magic was not a curse, but a gift, Visilva followed. Now she walks a path between worlds, with 2 dreams guiding her steps: to be reunited with her sister and to find a family where she truly belongs.